Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com and welcome to PhoneDog Live. This is our live vodcast that we have every Friday. And so welcome guys on Ustream if you're there, guys on Facebook, I'll be checking those comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching. We have some interesting topics. We're going to be talking about some iPhone rumors. There's actually, you guys have probably seen this, but just in case you live under a rock, there's a leaked picture of the possible iPhone 5, and then more rumors about the iPad, and then we'll move on to some Windows Phone news, and then some Android news, Galaxy S2, Motorola Triumph, Motorola Photon, and then we have a couple of extras just in case we have time. So we're going to start today with breaking news. This actually just came out. I had a set topic and I had all my info, and then we just got some breaking news. So apparently there were some leaked iPhone 5 cases, and I'll show you the ones that got leaked. If I can go down to the case. So this is what the case looks like, and then there were some cases that were just leaked a couple of minutes ago that show a somewhat similar design. As you can see, these are from 9to5Mag. And so what these cases show is we can kind of get an idea of what the next iPhone is going to look like. Obviously, we don't have any concrete details on the display and if it's going to be larger, but we can tell that there is going to be a slight redesign. The source said that these new cases show that there could be a slight teardrop in the design, and so we kind of heard that rumor before that it would start off a little bit thicker and then progressively get thinner. So that's going to be kind of a slight design change. There's also some cases that were leaked that show that the cutout for the home button is a little bit larger, so maybe lending credence to the rumors that there would be a multi-touch gesture area. That's still kind of a rumor, hasn't entirely been confirmed yet. But these cases also show that the next iPhone will probably be a little bit larger. So these cases are 5 inches tall and 2.8 inches wide. And so as a reference, the current iPhone 4 is 4.5 inches tall and 2.3 inches wide. So we're guessing from these cases that the next iPhone is going to be a little bit taller, a little bit wider, and also have kind of a new design, maybe going back to the curved back, maybe having that teardrop design. So those were the leaked cases that we just got. Had some earlier in the day and earlier in the week, and then just a few minutes ago we got some more leaked pictures. So that's what we were thinking based on these cases. And then, as you guys have probably heard, but I'll also show you the picture again, there was a picture taken of what we're guessing is the iPhone 5. Now the story is that the person was on the train and he saw somebody with what looks like an iPhone. He said that they were kind of covering it up a lot, but he could kind of tell that it looks like an iPhone, and then he saw the Apple logo. And so we're thinking that this is possibly the next iPhone. Here's the picture of the iPhone 5. You might not be able to tell depending on how large your screen is, but from getting a close-up look at this, the person said that it was larger. He said it was Evo-like, so a larger display. But if you can see from the picture, it does look like it has that rounded back like the original iPhone and the iPhone 3GS like those had, but there's still kind of a border around the edges. So if you look closely, it's not quite just flat panel and then the rest kind of curves around, but it's more like flat panel with a little bit of an edge and then a curved back. So kind of interesting, but it's also big news because up until now we've just kind of had to go on rumors that it's going to be thinner, and then we heard that no, it's going to have the same design, and then we heard no, it's going to have a teardrop design, and then the camera. We heard that the flash was going to be a little bit farther away from the camera on the new model, but apparently these cases show that that's not true. So for a long time we were just going on speculation and what people were saying, and so now that we're getting closer and closer to the launch, it looks like we may have a pretty good idea of what the iPhone is going to look like. It kind of seems like everything's coming together. So again, just as a recap, it is apparently going to be thinner, a little bit thinner. It's also going to be larger, so probably have a larger display. And then it looks like it is going to have a new design. For a long time we were going back and forth on that. Is it going to have the same design as the iPhone 4 or a completely new design? Now, based on these pictures and these cases, it looks like the iPhone 5 is going to have a completely new design. It looks to me kind of like a mixture of the iPhone 4 and the iPhone 3GS, so at least that's the impression that I got. So, new design, thinner, larger, and then I don't know about that multi-touch gesture area. I don't know if that'll actually happen, but you know, it's a possibility. And then, like I said earlier, I mentioned this little tidbit about the camera. There were earlier rumors that the flash was going to be moved away from the camera just slightly to improve picture quality, because sometimes whenever the flash is too close to the camera lens, it can cause problems like red eye, things like that are more prominent. So there were rumors that the flash was going to move a little bit farther away. But we had some schematics of a case, and then we also got the official cases, and it looks like the flash is in the same place, so that hasn't actually been moved. So I'm actually kind of excited. I think it's cool every time Apple releases a new design, because you know, one thing that you have to give Apple credit for is having some beautiful hardware. I mean, you know, everything they do, the MacBooks, the iMac, the iPhone, you know, iPod Touch kind of have similar designs, but the iPad or iPod, iPod Nano, I mean, all of their hardware designs, at least recently, you know, back in the day, they were kind of ugly, but recently they've really gotten on target when it comes to hardware design, so I'm excited to see what it looks like. I want to ask you guys, would you be willing to buy the iPhone now, even though we've heard rumors that it's going to be a slight upgrade, or do you think that these, you know, new cases with new hardware designs, do you think they show it's going to be a major upgrade? Are you guys going to buy it, or are you still kind of wary and maybe going to wait until maybe, you know, next year to see if that's going to be a major upgrade? I think personally, you know, we'll know whenever Apple announces it if it is a major upgrade. Obviously, they're not going to tell us, you know, hey guys, this isn't really a major upgrade, so don't worry about buying this one. Obviously, they're not going to say that, but you'll be able to tell kind of like by the specs if there's nothing revolutionary, quote unquote, about it. So then we'll kind of know if it's not a major upgrade. I'm looking in the comments for Ustream. I can't wait. I'll buy it only if it has 4G. That's a good point. Now I'll wait till iPhone 5 to see if it's bigger and better. I will only if it's 4G. Is that the same person? No. So 2 people said they'll get it only if it's a 4G device. Apple needs to catch up spec-wise. People are starting to mind about that. That's a good point, and that has a lot to do with the 4G argument. I'm seeing 5-inch screen 4G. I don't know if it'll have a 5-inch screen, but I think that's a really good point. You know, we're pretty sure that it is going to have a dual-core processor, so that's okay. The Retina display, again, excellent. Camera, again, excellent. I think 4G is really where they're kind of falling behind, and in one sense, you can understand their argument that, you know, 4G is still kind of new. Maybe they want to wait till 4G networks have been built up a little bit more. But at the same time, that's a good argument, but there's so many other phones coming out with 4G, you know, and they don't seem to care. Customers don't seem to care that the 4G technology is still new. I don't think that's really a good argument anymore. There was a time whenever 4G was kind of a gimmick, but that time has really passed, and so I think that's a good point that we haven't heard any rumors of it being a 4G device, so I wouldn't hold my breath on this generation being a 4G phone, but they definitely need to start thinking about it. I mean, if not this generation, then at least the next generation. But we've heard that the iPhone that comes out in 2012, we heard that that one probably will be a 4G phone. So yeah, it may be a good idea to wait until next year to get the 4G device. Personally, you know, if you're wondering, should I wait until it's a 4G iPhone or should I get this one? If you're in a 4G market, yeah, I would say it's probably worth it to wait because 4G is it's just super fast. And obviously it's going to depend on the technology that you're using and also coverage in your area, but I can tell you from experience, and I've said this before, after using a 4G phone and experiencing 4G speeds, it's really hard to go back to 3G because it's just everything is instant on 4G. And when you use a 3G device, you're like, God, this thing's so slow. Again, depending on network coverage and all that, but I almost think it'd be worth it to wait until the next iPhone if it is going to be a 4G device. But still, I'm excited to see the new hardware. I don't think I'm going to buy it because, like I've said before, I don't really like iOS. I'm kind of it's a little too simple for me, the grid of icons. But anyway, that's just me. That's personal. I think if someone else buys it, it's definitely going to be an awesome phone. I'll give you guys a quick rundown again of the specs, at least the rumored specs that we have so far. We have, like I said, dual-core processor, not LTE. We've heard a rumor that it could be an HSPA Plus device, so the AT&T version could be 4G, but that hasn't really been confirmed too much. We heard that it was going to have a 4-inch display, so that seems to collaborate with the cases that we've gotten. It may be a world phone. There could be a prepaid version. And in terms of a release date, we've heard a lot. I've heard August, I've heard September, I've heard October, I've heard October 5th, I've heard August 16th. I've heard basically every single release date, but it seems like everything is coming together for it to be released in early September. So possibly the first 2 weeks of September. So that's exciting, and so we'll have to wait. Moving on to more Apple news, and then we're going to move on to some Android news and some Windows Phone 7 news. Coming more, though, from Apple. There's been some rumors recently of Apple making the move to use cheaper components in their next iPad, so the iPad 3. This is from Digitimes. Digitimes says that Apple is adjusting the cost structure for iPad tablets in order to compete with an array of tablet PCs to be launched by rivals in the second half of 2011. And so they're using, kind of different companies for different components so that these parts will be cheaper. Now, what hasn't been confirmed yet is if the parts are going to be cheaper or if the iPad itself is also going to be cheaper. So it could be cheaper parts, same price, so that Apple makes more money off of it, or it could be cheaper parts and cheaper price so it can compete with other tablets that are coming out. Now, again, you can see, if you're on Ustream, I've changed the topic, and my question is there at the top. Would you buy an iPad made with cheaper parts? From a, business point of view, I can completely see Apple's reasoning here. Just to give you guys a few numbers, the iPad 2 cost Apple about $320 to build. So, selling it for $499, that makes sense. You're only making about $100 off of it, depending on which model you get. But apparently, the display itself cost $127 compared to the original iPad, which only cost $95. So prices are going up. And now they're using a new processor, which also makes it more expensive. So I can completely understand Apple wanting to use cheaper parts in their iPad. But would you buy it if it were the same price, but you knew it was cheaper parts? I don't know if I would want to do that because, Apple products are already kind of overpriced in my opinion. The iPad, they've done really good with their prices. But let me check the comments in Ustream, and I'll also be on Facebook if you're feeling left out. I see, well, I wouldn't buy an iPad in the first place. Okay, good argument. Nope, 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 no way. Okay, iPad is still a no-go for me. It bores me. The whole point of Apple is to make the best out there. That's a good point. Even though I have an iPad already, I do use it. I would not consider buying another one. No, I'm good with my laptop. Apple is overpriced. So that's a good point made by Christina Peak. The whole point of Apple is or one of their mantras, it seems, is that they make the best products out there. And if they're now going to use cheaper parts, I don't know if it would necessarily be the best product out there. Now, these are only a few components that they're, shopping around to get lower prices on. and for the most part, the rest of the parts, the rest of the components are going to be still high quality. So, but that's a good point. I don't know if I would buy it knowing that they use cheaper parts, unless they lower the price. Now, if they lower the price, by all means, use cheaper parts. But I don't know. I don't know if I would buy it. I don't know if it would be a turnoff for other consumers. Granted, most consumers are not going to know that they're using cheaper parts because this is a very minor report, and usually it's, people like us on tech sites that know that kind of stuff. So the average consumer is probably not going to care about it, but it's interesting. I was actually kind of surprised to see that Apple was even considering using cheaper parts, and then the fact that they actually did it. I was kind of surprised because I always got the impression that Apple, just has so much money and they charge so much for their products. I figured, one of the reasons they charge so much for their products is because they use the absolute best components. But now to know that they're using cheaper components, it actually kind of surprised me. I don't know if it makes me think any less of Apple, but it surprised me. So I thought I would mention that. So we'll have to see. If you probably won't hear any more out of this because it was just kind of a speculation rumor. But moving on to topic number 3, we are moving right along now. We have a lot of topics to cover, and I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to cover all of them, but it seems like we're making good time. I'm actually ahead of schedule. So the next thing, moving on to Windows Phone news. I'm trying to keep it all balanced. We have Apple news, we have Windows Phone news, we have I actually even had some RIM news that I don't even know if I'm able to get to it, but I did have some BlackBerry news, and then we also have some Android news. So, but Windows Phone 7. So this week on PhoneDog, we ran a piece that I wrote about why I switched from Android to Windows Phone 7. And it got a lot of attention, obviously. People are interested in that, and a lot of comments. I think there was, right now, there's like 111 comments. Just everything from, good for you, welcome to the Windows Phone family, to people saying that it was a terrible decision and, good luck with Windows and all that. I actually responded to a lot of the comments because, my one of the reasons why I wanted to write the article was because, a lot of times certain operating systems get a bad rap simply because they're not that well known. So I think Windows Phone gets a bad rap simply because it probably reminds people, they automatically think of Windows Mobile, which was one of the worst operating systems ever. And so they automatically think it's going to be like that. And so I wanted to write the article to show people that it is a viable option. I did it. And so I responded to a lot of the negative comments just so that if people were reading them, to see, okay, did she actually make a good decision, or what do other people say about this? I wanted to give them both sides of the coin. Like, okay, here's a negative, but from my experience of using the phone, it's not really a negative because of this, whatever the comment was. And I also wanted to talk about it here in our vodcast to give you guys a chance to ask anything you wanted to ask. So I've used Android for about a year, I guess, just using different devices and then having my own personal device. So, I've used, basically every grade of Android phone. I've used the high-end phones, I've used very low-end cheap phones, I've used the mid-range Android devices, and I've used, all different UIs. I've used Sense, TouchWiz, LG's UI, Pantech's UI, MotoBlur, or Motorola's applications platform. So I've used all these different UIs. So I've had my share of Windows Phone, and I just decided to switch. I got tired of Android, and I decided to switch. Okay, let me pause my thought there and go back to the comments. Do you have a Windows Phone 7 phone? Yes. Same resolution for the display. Okay, glass. What has the switch been like in battery life? Can you post a link? I don't know if links are allowed, even though I'm a mod. It should be allowed, but we'll see. Yeah, it worked. Okay, so my thoughts so far. So the reason that I switched is because Android to me just got redundant. And I did all kinds of customizations. You know, I've tweeted a couple of weeks ago that I was just tired of Android. So everyone's like, but you can use different launchers and try this launcher and try this and try that. So I tried all of it. I've used all of the major launchers. I've used Launcher Pro and ADW, and then I've used some other smaller ones. Some ones are kind of still in development and haven't really been developed all the way. You know, I've used all kinds of launchers, and I realized at the end of the day that it's all the same. It's still a grid of icons with some widgets thrown in there, and then a dock at the bottom, and then, you know, the unlock screen you can kind of customize, but really it's just the same thing, and it all looks the same. And I got to the point where I would look down at my phone, and it would just look cluttered and unorganized, and it just looked ugly. And I tried everything to make it look pretty, and I would spend hours customizing my device, but it still looked ugly. And so I realized that, and I realized, you know, I spend so much time customizing my device because I don't like the way it looks, and I realized if I don't like the way Android looks, why am I still using it? You know, why don't I switch? And so I went into a store, and, you know, I'd use Windows Phone, you know, from time to time, but I went into a store, I used the phone, and it was just beautiful. It was just elegant. The transitions, it was smooth. Everything was just smooth and beautiful and elegant and uniform. The Metro UI carries across everything. You know, with Android, you can have different apps designed by different people, and they all look different. You can have widgets designed by different people, and they all look different. They all work differently. But with Windows Phone, even the apps that are designed by third-party developers, they all have that Metro UI. So it's all uniform, it's all beautiful, and honestly, it all works. No forced closes, no bugs, no apps that are just pieces of crap that you don't even know how they made it into the market. It all just, it works so smoothly. And so for me, I mentioned in the article, and people have commented on this, that so you got it just because you don't like the way it looks. True, Android, I got tired of the way it looks, and Windows Phone is just so beautiful. But also at the same time, I just got tired of the bugs. I got tired of the forced closes. I got tired of all these workarounds. Okay, how can I do this? Okay, I can create this workaround and kind of get it to work this way, and then maybe it'll do what I want it to. But with Windows Phone, I don't have to worry about that. It's, you know, maybe not as open as Android, but I honestly think Microsoft has done an excellent job of creating an operating system that really can rival iOS. I think so. Let me see if I missed any questions about get a Windows Phone 7 launcher. Well, I did that. I actually did do that. On my Android phone, I got a Windows Phone 7 launcher. There's a launcher, is it just called Launcher 7? I think that's what it's called. And you know, it mimics it to a certain extent, but it's really not. It's really still Android once you open up apps and do all that. So, you know, and some of the things, people have brought out certain things about Android. For example, you know, multitasking, rooting, the number of apps. They've brought out a couple of other things. And honestly, those things just were never really that big for me anyway. Like I never rooted my phone because I was always afraid I was going to brick it, and I was just like, it's just not worth it. Multitasking is coming in the Mango update, so, you know, it didn't really bother me. Apps, you know, I mentioned this in the article, I just never really used a lot of apps. I used, you know, my share, but I was never like a huge app person who had 20 apps or, you know, 50 apps. And every app that I used on my Android device, it's in the Windows Marketplace. Yeah, all of them. Not, you know, second-rate apps that were, you know, designed by somebody else in Asia. I mean, like the real app that I use on Android. So, you know, a lot of that stuff that people use to kind of defend why Windows Phone sucks so much, it's really not that true. Really not true at all. And I think if you gave Windows Phone a chance, I think a lot more people would like it than they think. I think there's a lot of people that just think it's garbage because it's Microsoft, or, you know, it's too simple, or it doesn't have any apps, or it's still new, there's no updates. That's another thing, fragmentation. No fragmentation. I'm so tired of fragmentation. But I think if you really gave it a chance, you'd probably like it a lot more than you thought you would. Now, you may end up going back to Android anyway, but I think you'd probably like it a lot better than you thought you would. But speaking of Windows Phone and the updates coming this fall, I didn't want to talk about some of the updates because the Mango update was just sent out to manufacturers, which means that it's going to be coming onto the market pretty soon. If you're a developer, then you already have access to Mango. But if you are using Windows Phone, like me, here are some things that you can look forward to. Twitter integration, which I am really excited about because the Facebook integration is excellent, but I don't really use Facebook. I use Twitter. And so I had to download a Twitter app, and I had to find one that had push notifications because not all of them do. That's another thing about Windows Phone. The notification system isn't great. It's not as good as Android, but it's actually not bad. I mean, it's not as bad as you think it is. The live tiles, they act just like widgets, so it's basically the same system. But Twitter integration is coming. There's going to be some new animations, and this was something that we didn't really know about. But now that developers are starting to get the Mango beta, they're finding out that there is actually some new animations, so that's pretty cool. Picture sharing with Twitter, multitasking, and we got a couple of more details about the multitasking interface. So we knew that you double tap, or you do a long hold on back, I believe, to bring up the multitasking window, which is basically just each app that you've had open, it opens as kind of a card, sort of like in WebOS, and then you can slide through them and then decide which one you want to open. But apparently it shows you the last 5 apps, which should be enough. I know Android shows, I believe, the last 6, or is it 8? I think Android shows you the last 8 apps. So Windows Phone shows the last 5 apps. Honestly, that's enough for me, but if you're a heavy app user and you like going from the app you just used to the app you used like maybe an hour ago, I don't know, maybe if you're a heavy multitasker, it might not be enough. But we got a couple more details on that. And then LinkedIn supports, if you use LinkedIn, and then copy and paste, which is going to be big. So if you use Windows Phone, that's just a few things to look forward to. There's actually 500 or over 500 new features coming to Windows Phone, to Mango. And so it's going to be a big update. I'm excited about it. And, I have a lot more appreciation for Windows Phone now. I always thought it was a great operating system because I had used it, and I could tell that it was very well designed, that it was extremely powerful and functional, while at the same time beautiful. But, I hadn't really dug really deep into it. Now that I have a Windows Phone device, I love it. And I have a 14-day return trial period, and it's been a week, so I have one more week left before it's too late to return it. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to return it. I think I'm going to keep my Windows Phone device because it's awesome. It really is. And so I still carry an Android device, so if there's any app that I can't find, or if I maybe sometimes get bored, I'll get out my Android device and kind of mess around with it. Also, the Android device that I carry is a 4G device, and the Windows Phone device I got isn't. So actually the network I'm on, 3G speeds have been really good, so I've been really impressed with that. But sometimes if it's just not fast enough, I can get on my 4G Android device and use that. So I still use the Android, don't worry. And of course, I do cell phone reviews, so I use all different phones all the time. But yeah, check out the article if you haven't read it already. And I think, just to sum everything up, my thoughts on Windows Phone, if you're thinking about trying it, or if you're thinking about never trying it because of preconceived notions, give it a shot, because you will probably be surprised. And I honestly think that Windows Phone will eventually rival iOS. I already think that I already think it's up there, but I think it has enough features and is designed well enough that it can really rival iOS, with Android also being up there, with them all being even, so we can have some parity. and options. So it's no more like iOS is awesome, Android is okay, and then we have some other crap operating systems down there. It's more like iOS is awesome, but if you don't like it, Android is awesome too, and if you don't like that, Windows Phone 7 is right there. So I think it's awesome that we're finally getting to a point where you have true options, not just you can try this or maybe like this if you really want to, but true options of things that actually work well. So I did want to talk about that, and I said I was going to take questions. I don't even think I took any questions. I took one, maybe. I don't even remember, so I'm sorry about that. I made false promises. Let me see if there are any questions that I missed. What do you like the most about Windows Phone? Okay, so I'll answer that question. What do I like the most about Windows Phone? I'm looking at my phone. I think probably the aesthetics. And I know that may seem like a small thing. And if you're not a visual person, then that's totally fine if it doesn't bother you. And if you think it's ridiculous for me to switch based on visual appearances, then that's okay, because everybody's different. For me, I'm a big visual person. I used to be a graphics designer, so the aesthetics are very important to me, and that was the major reason why I switched. Android can do a whole lot. Windows Phone can do a whole lot. For me, it was just the way it looked. I just happened to get tired of the way Android looks. So my favorite thing about Windows Phone is, I guess, the UI. The Metro UI is beautiful and very smooth. No lag and choppiness and all that crap. It's slick. Okay, portrait sliders are ew. Mango is already on the HTC HD2. I think all Windows Phone 7 phones will be getting the update. Yeah, all Windows Phone. That's another thing. You don't have to worry about fragmentation. They're all going to get the Mango update. So anyway, moving on. I don't want to talk about Windows Phone the entire time because I know not everyone is interested in that. So let's move on to some Android news. The Samsung Galaxy S2. Everybody wants to know about this. When is it coming to the States? It's been in Europe for, was it May? Was it May that it was released? It seems like so long ago. That might not be right. But anyway, everybody's wondering, when is it going to come to the US? Because this is a killer phone. I mean, the Samsung Galaxy S2, I think is going to be one of the best phones on any, no matter which carrier it goes to. It's going to be one of the best phones. Dual-core processor, Super AMOLED Plus display, just amazing. So we got some leaked pictures of the AT&T Galaxy S2, and so at least that's what we're guessing. We're told that this is the Galaxy S2. This is what it looks like. You can't really tell a whole lot from this picture, besides just some minor hardware cues, like the rounded corners, things like that. You can't really tell a whole lot. But at least we know that AT&T has a physical Galaxy S2, which kind of, leads us to believe that it's going to be released fairly soon. We also got some leaked pictures. We originally thought that this was the Galaxy S2. We thought that AT&T was going to get a Galaxy S2 without a keyboard and then one with a keyboard, because we got this leaked picture. And so we're thinking, okay, they're going to have two different versions, one with a keyboard, one without it. But now we're getting confirmation that this phone with the keyboard actually isn't the Galaxy S2. It's just some other Samsung phone that's also coming to AT&T, which isn't bad because it's apparently also a beast phone. So AT&T really stepping up in the Android game, which is good. They need to, since they no longer have the iPhone exclusively. And then here's a picture of the another picture of the Samsung Galaxy S coming to AT&T. So you can kind of see the back there with that kind of rough texture, and then the 8-megapixel camera. So these could or could not turn out to be the Samsung Galaxy S2 for AT&T, but for the time being, we're hearing that this is the AT&T version. So hooray! Looks like it's finally going to be released. Still no release dates, at least not that I've heard recently, so we still have to wait on that, but, at least we have some pictures, we kind of know what to look forward to. So moving on to some more Android news. This is some bad news. The Galaxy S2 that was good news. But now we have some bad news. If you recall, we did a review of the Motorola Triumph, which is coming to, you know, I just looked at my battery, on my Mac, and it's low, so I hope it doesn't run out before. I usually plug in my charger, but I forgot to, so hopefully I don't have to go get it. Anyway, we did a Motorola Triumph review on PhoneDog.com. You can check it out there. And now that it's been released, the phone, and people have it, they're reporting a lot of problems. Problems with the screen flickering, problems with the camera, the autofocus isn't working. Every time they take a picture, there's this green-yellow tint on their picture. And so these problems have just kind of been, you know, first it was just the screen flickering, but now it's kind of compounding. And so I have my Motorola Triumph demo unit. I think it's back here, but anyway. And so when I heard these problems, I got out my phone and tested it out. The screen flickering problem I have had. I thought it was just my device. It didn't happen until after I did the review. I thought it was just maybe the phone that I got, but apparently it's been a problem. The problems with the camera, the autofocus not working, and the green tint, I haven't had those problems. I took pictures, I tried out the autofocus. For me, at least the model or the phone that I have, that hasn't been a problem. But the screen flickering, so this is what happens, and I added a paragraph to our written review of the Triumph. So what happens is, actually let me get the phone out. I have a glass of water and I don't want to spill it. Okay, so what happens is, I'll be using the phone, the screen will be unlocked, you're not going to be able to see that, so there's no use showing it. I'll be using the phone, the screen will be unlocked and I'm using it, and then I'll push the lock button because I'm done with it, I'm going to put it away. But then sometimes right at that instant I realize I wasn't done with it, maybe there's something else I wanted to do, and so right away I'll push it again to, you know, unlock it and make it come back on. And what'll happen is the screen will flicker and then it will look like this. So you can see it, if you see it in real life, you can't tell too much here, but it basically looks like a TV that has bad reception. Here's another picture. And as you can see, the display is still visible. You can still see my wallpaper there. You can still see in this picture, you can still see the clock. So you can still see the display, and it's actually still functional. If I were to swipe, it would unlock. This display would still be messed up, but I could use apps. But it's kind of like a TV with bad reception, it's flickering. And so I have to lock it again, wait a couple of seconds, and then unlock it, and it'll be back to normal. So that's the problem that people are reporting with the Motorola Triumph. Can it be fixed with a quick, you know, software update? You know, I'm not sure. The camera problems, probably. The autofocus, I'm guessing that can probably be fixed. As far as the screen, I'm not really sure. Motorola, I don't believe, has said anything about it, and so we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But this just goes to show, I mean, I'm going to point out that I mentioned in the review a couple of negative things, and that the phone, you know, was built, you know, the specs make it seem like a high-end phone, but in a lot of ways it performs like a mid-range phone, kind of like a cheaply made phone. And nobody believed me, and everybody in the comments was saying that I was being overly negative, or that I was being biased because it's a prepaid phone and you're just bashing it for no reason. But now you guys see what I was talking about, that it's kind of a cheap phone. I know that it has a 1 GHz processor and a 4-inch display and, you know, 8 megapixel or 5 megapixel camera, but it still kind of is cheaply made. So next time I say stuff like that, you know, you should listen to me and you won't have to go through this. So we'll have to wait and see if Motorola does anything to fix this. I'm not sure. We haven't heard anything. My phone is still doing it. It doesn't do it every single time, which is good, but it just does it, you know, sometimes. And so just wanted to let you guys know about that. And then we'll also let you know if Motorola does give us any, you know, updates or maybe sends out a software fix for it. So now back to some good Android news. We went from good Android to bad Android. Now we have some good Android news. The Motorola Photon is coming soon to Sprint. This is a high-end beast phone. I have a picture that I can show you guys, just in case you haven't seen it yet. Motorola Photon. Here it is. And this is, like I said, an awesome phone. So it's a 4G phone. It has a 4.3-inch QHD display, so you can see that there. As you can see in this picture, it also ships with Motorola's applications platform, formerly known as Blur. Okay, how about that? Is there sound now? Or is it back? Let me, you can hear, can't hear you. Back. Okay, yes, we have sound. Okay, sorry, I clicked on a couple of bad things. So, anyway, back to the Motorola Photon. It does ship with Moto Blur, or Motorola's applications platform. Not too terribly popular, but, you know, you may like that. 1 GHz dual-core Tegra 2 processor, an 8-megapixel camera that can capture HD video, and a front-facing camera. I don't know anyone that uses a front-facing camera, but it's there. 1 gig of RAM, Android 2.3, it's a global phone, and it will have a laptop dock accessory, and it also has a kickstand. So this is basically the phone that can rival the Evo 3D, which is also on Sprint, but it doesn't have 3D, which in my opinion is great, because the Evo 3D is an awesome phone, but you have that 3D gimmick that I don't really like, and so the Motorola Photon is a great option if you want that beast phone but no 3D. Now the downside is that it ships with Motorola's UI, and not everyone likes that. Also, the hardware seems to be kind of cheaply built. Aaron did an unboxing video, so you guys can check out the unboxing video on PhoneDog.com and see kind of his first initial thoughts about that. But I want to let you guys know about that. The Photon is coming to Sprint on July 31st, so that's Sunday, I think, at the end of this week. So I'm excited, and then Aaron, like I said, has our demo unit, so he'll have the review up early next week, so you can check it out. So moving on to extras, and I probably only have time for one extra, but I did want to show you guys this. It is an early look at the Asus EeePad slider. Now Asus came out with the EeePad transformer, which was a 10-inch tablet, and then it could connect into a dock, a laptop dock, or a keyboard dock. That was actually very well made. It wasn't like a cheap, low-end, you know, snap-it-on dock. This actually kind of made it look like a really nice laptop or netbook. So now they've come out with the EeePad slider, where the keyboard is already connected, but it kind of slides out from the bottom. So let me show you guys the video of this. Go to screencast. So actually I'm going to go back and I'm going to do picture-in-picture screencast. So this is what it looks like, and as you can see, it looks really nice. That keyboard looks fantastic. I would like to have gotten a look at the back whenever the keyboard is slid out. I'd like to see what the back looks like. But it looks, you know, very smooth, locks into place very well. And then we also get a view of the side of the tablet, and you can kind of see the back or the bottom of the tablet depending on how you want to look at it. And it actually looks like a very nice high-end tablet. If you see that kind of silver border there on the back, it almost reminds me of a BlackBerry, but it just looks really nice. It's kind of shown off some of the ports here, but that keyboard looks great, and then it still kind of has a thin profile. So all in all, I'm actually kind of excited. This is the EeePad slider. We don't really have a whole lot of information in terms of specs, but it's always nice to have different form factors. If you like having a keyboard, but you don't have, with a transformer you have to carry around the extra keyboard dock, but with this it's already connected and still looked pretty thin. So that's the EeePad slider specs. I don't have any specs, at least I've looked and I've hunted around for them and I can't really find any. So, But still, at least we know what it's going to look like. More than likely, it looks like a 10-inch display. Probably will have a dual-core processor. Obviously, Honeycomb may ship with 3.2, depending on when it's released. But I'm pretty excited about that one. So that's the Asus EeePad slider. I had one more topic, but I don't think we have time to get to it. So, and I don't want to cut into you guys' open Q&A time, so we'll just move on to that. Open Q&A. So if you have any questions about anything that I talked about or about any rumors, just leave it. And I'll be checking at Facebook. So if you're on Facebook and you felt neglected, I will be on Facebook, but I'll also be on Ustream. If you're on YouTube watching this, I'll be checking the comments there. So you can leave a comment, and I'll be reading those and answering the ones that I can. Really quickly, though, I have to get a drink of water. I'm sorry. Sometimes my voice just kind of gives out a little bit. So, okay, questions. I know you don't like iOS, but what do you think about iPod 3G rumor and your dream iPhone? iPod 3G rumor, yeah, we heard a rumor that the next iPod Touch could have 3G capabilities, not to make voice calls, but just, you know, for data. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think that's a little bit too far-fetched, so that's my thoughts on it. My dream iPhone, I'm not sure what that means. Now I'm curious, what's the Mozilla Seabird? I'll talk about it next week if we have room for it. I'll talk about it. You can go to Mozilla's website. How am I pronouncing that right? Mozilla, and check it out there. Is the Samsung Galaxy S2 worth waiting for? Yes, it is. Compared to the Droid 3, they're actually very similar, except the Droid 3 has a physical keyboard. So which one is better? It really just depends on which UI you prefer and if you need that physical keyboard. But it's still worth waiting for just to compare them to see which one you like. Mid-range phones, which one would be better? Optimus 1, Wildfire S, or Legend? Legend. Between the Optimus 1 and the Wildfire, that would be a tough, because, you know, HTC makes great devices. But on the other hand, the Optimus 1 is probably the best mid-range Android phone on the market. You know, I couldn't tell you because I would have to compare them personally myself, and I haven't been able to do that yet. And so again, I would say maybe just try them out and see which UI you prefer, because I really think those two, the Legend, I'm not sure about, but probably those two would be the best mid-range options on the market. You probably couldn't go wrong with either one. Let me check out, okay, the successor to the Hero, okay, I see. Let me check Facebook, just see if I missed any questions. Do you think the HTC Evo 3G is worth getting? Absolutely, it's yeah, one of the best phones out there. When will the Epic 4G be getting 2.3? I don't think we have any official word on that yet. You know what, my battery is about to go dead, and I feel really bad about this. But I'm going to have to turn around really quick and leave you guys for a second to get my battery charger. This is really unprofessional, but I'm going to have to. Hold on. Sorry, I'll be right back. I'm coming, don't worry. That's what you said. Okay, I'm coming. I'm back. Okay, you just saw my knee there. Oh my gosh, I have legs. Okay, sorry I had to plug in my, I'm sorry. Let's just move on and answer questions. Did I hear you switch from Android to Windows? Yes, we talked about that earlier. I won't get into it now, but we talked about that earlier. Okay, back to Ustream. Can't plan for every little thing. It's all good. Okay, yeah, thanks. You guys are nice, but I have a feeling the guys on YouTube are probably going to slaughter me for that one. What happened to the weekly phone? I don't know. I've actually been missing it too. That's John Q, so we'd have to ask him. He's really busy right now. He works for us and a couple of other sites, so it could be just time constraints. What is the battery life on your Windows Phone 7 device? Honestly, there's times when it doesn't get me through a full day. And that's different from my Android phone, which would always get me through a full day barely, but it would. My Windows Phone device, sometimes I have to charge it, but that's really not a problem because I work from home, so I sit right next to a charger all day. Sony Ericsson Xperia X10 got 2.3 update today. Yeah, good stuff for those who still have one. Yeah. No, when I read that, I was like, yay! But wait, does anyone still have that phone? What are Windows Phone 7 notifications like? Could you demonstrate on your Windows Phone? So basically, well, I'd have to get a notification, so I couldn't really demonstrate it. Basically, when it's locked and the phone is just sitting there, it will make a noise, and then if you push the button to unlock the screen, a banner will be up there at the top. This is also true if the screen is unlocked and you're just using it. A banner comes up at the top that tells you what the notification is. Interestingly, the color of the banner matches the color that you've set for your live tiles. So you can set, say, like right now I use pink. So pink is used for my live tiles. It's used for the notification banner. It's used for any text that's not black. Like all text is black, but any like supplementary text will be your theme color. When I'm text messaging, the box is pink, my theme color. The uniformity is beautiful. So anyway, banner pops up the top. It'll go away after about 5 seconds, but if you have a live tile for that app that sent you the notification, that live tile will now reflect that notification. But if you click on the banner before it goes away, it'll take you to the app. So it's a lot like Android, except no notification bar. Other than that, it's basically the same. Other than the Evo 3D, what's your favorite phone on Sprint? My favorite phone on Sprint, you know what, I'm going to have to look and see what phones they have. There's so many, I have a hard time keeping every phone straight. People ask me about all these random phones and they expect me to remember everything. Okay, Nexus S, Epic, yeah, probably the Evo. Second best, probably the Epic. The Nexus S is a great phone, but I don't really like stock Android, and I like having a physical keyboard, so probably the Epic would be my second favorite. Let me jump back over to Facebook and see. Okay, no new questions. All right, I just wanted to check. Back on Ustream. What's your favorite UI? Probably for Android, it's probably TouchWiz. What do you think Windows Phone 7's defining characteristic is? Example, BlackBerry Messenger, FaceTime, defining characteristic. I'd say the live tiles. And it's funny because their commercials, if you remember the Windows Phone 7 commercials, it was always the phone that can, you can look at it, see everything within a second, and then get on with your life. And I was always like, oh, yeah, sure. But now that I have the phone, it's completely true. I unlock it, I look at all my live tiles, no emails, no messages, no Twitter messages. It's all on my live tiles, lock it, and I'm done. So probably the live tiles would be its defining characteristic. You're in that Windows mindset, so I'm not going to make a discussion, Stu, but why it doesn't make sense. What about the HTC Arrive on Sprint? It's Windows Phone 7 and has a keyboard. That's a good point. I'm not on Sprint, so I didn't get that one. Flowman. What's Flowman doing? Thank you for being such a great moderator, Stewie. It looks like you're really keeping up with the comments. I appreciate that. Okay, let me jump over to Facebook since we have no new comments on Ustream. I remember you saying how much you liked the MyTouch 3G, so how you liken the MyTouch 4G, I still think it has the best keyboard for you. I haven't used the MyTouch 4G slide. Aaron got our demo unit, and I think Taylor also did a review. So I can't tell you from personal experience yet how I like the keyboard. But you can check out those reviews. Aaron did a video review, and Taylor did a written review, so you can check those out and see what they thought of the keyboard. He's being inappropriate. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Wow, I didn't even see the comments. Good job. You're up on that. Okay, do you see any successors to the Sony Ericsson Xperia Arc ever being made? Yeah, probably. I mean, I think it's common for manufacturers these days to have a follow-up. We had the Galaxy S, then we have the Galaxy S2, the Evo 3D, the Incredible 2. So yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility. Why does AT&T have enough money to buy out T-Mobile, but T-Mobile is better? I'm not sure. It probably has a lot of customer service. T-Mobile has better customer service, and that just has to do with the people they hire, people that work there. But I'm not really sure. Why is the Sony Ericsson Arc worst phone ever created? I don't know. Xperia Arc available unlocked in the States now, just throwing it out there. Okay, thanks. Looking forward to the PlayStation Vita. At some point they will hack phone features onto it. It'd be a killer. Should I wait for the next generation Windows Phone 7 with dual-core processors and QHD displays? Well, new Windows Phone devices are coming out this fall, so I would wait for those and check those out. Would it be worth it to wait for more phones after that? Probably not, because you'd be waiting like 4 months. But wait for the ones that come out this fall, and then see if you like one of those. Inspire 4G, 4 minutes left, guys. Inspire 4G, Gingerbread, and Sense 3.0 update. I don't think the Inspire is going to get Sense 3.0. Gingerbread, I don't have any news on that, sorry. Do you know if the Nokia C-Ray has a front-facing camera? Let me check if I have specs on that. Nokia C-Ray. I don't think we know for sure yet. Will the Infuse get TouchWiz 4.0? I don't know for sure. I don't think Samsung has commented on that. But I believe that only their new phones that are coming out ship with TouchWiz 4.0. Should I get the HTC Thunderbolt or wait? You know what? I would wait until the Bionic comes out, which should be September. If you feel like waiting that long, just to compare and see if which one you like better. You may still decide to go with the Thunderbolt, but you could wait for the Bionic to see if you like that one better. The Galaxy S2 should be coming out about that same time, I'm guessing. So I would wait until September. There should be a couple of devices coming out at that time, and then see which one you like better. Do you think the new iPhone 5 will be the next competition? Yeah, I think so. I think iPhone is always the competition. All 2011 AT&T phones will get 2.3. That's a good point. I don't know for sure when those phones are going to get 2.3. Okay, how old do we have to be to intern for PhoneDog? I'm not sure, but I think based on child protection and safety laws, what's the age? Is it 16 or 15 or 16, maybe 18? And then also at the same time, it depends on your experience, your knowledge, your skills, your writing ability, grammar. Can you write good articles? Probably based a lot on that too. Could you do a review of the iCloud Touch from Canada? It runs Android and has the concept like the status cha-cha. We don't usually get a lot of Canadian phones, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that review. But I'll keep my eye out. Oh, let me check back to Facebook. I almost forgot. Facebook. What's the best T-Mobile phone? Right now, probably the MyTouch 4G Slide. Or, you know what? If you want a physical keyboard, the 4G Slide. If you don't, I would say probably the G2X, since it's now back on the market, or the Sensation. Now, some people have had some problems with the Sensation being laggy and not, performing as well as it should for having a dual-core processor. So, maybe shy away from that one. Maybe the G2X would be better. But G2X, if you want a physical keyboard, the MyTouch 4G Slide. Okay, we have 1 more minute. I'll take some last questions here. Do you think there will be 2 iPhones coming out this fall? I really have no idea. We've heard that, but we've heard that it'll only be 1, so I really have no idea. Okay, last question from Ustream. Let's see who gets it first. Is BlackBerry Bold coming to Virgin Mobile? You know, we haven't heard anything about that, so I really don't know. There's a new Bold coming out, so it's a possibility. But I doubt it because the Bold is really kind of the high-end, nice BlackBerry, and the Curve is more like the low-end BlackBerry, so that kind of makes more sense from a price point of view, being on a prepaid carrier. So if the Bold came to Virgin Mobile, it would probably be too expensive. I don't think they'd be able to work the price down, so that's what I would say. But anyway, that's all we have for this week, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week, same time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And be sure and check out PhoneDog.com for more news, updates, and reviews. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, my screen name is It's My Job to Know. And so you can ask me questions. If I missed a question here, then you can just send me on Twitter. Also on YouTube, I'll be checking those comments, so type them out, and I'll try to answer as many as I can. But I'll see you guys next week. Bye.